Hi math friends, we're looking at a two-step equation study guide here, so let's get some work done here now. This one says to evaluate each expression for the given variable. So remember here, we're being asked to substitute a variable into an expression. So when we substitute, we replace that. So let's go ahead and try that here. So instead of x, we'll go ahead and use 3. So 2, and we'll show the substitution with parentheses. 3 plus 5. So remember that that means to multiply. So 2 times 3 is 6, plus 5. So when we evaluate, we get 11. All right, same with the next one. We're being asked to evaluate 8 minus m when m equals 11. So 8 minus 11. There's nothing to distribute, but we still use parentheses when we substitute. So remove the parentheses. 8 minus 11, we get negative 3. Last one here. Evaluate this when c equals 0. So 10 parentheses 0. That means 10 times 0, we get 0. If you'd like to, you can circle your final answer for each one. All right, let's check out some equations now. So solving for the given variable, show all work. So remember, draw a line down the equal sign here. Then we're going to do inverse operations. So inverse of minus 10, we're going to do plus 10 on each side. These are inverses, so that's 0. And the only thing we're left with on the left side is 7x. And on the right side, we get 77. So remember, 7x is multiplying by 7, so let's divide to remove that. Then we'll get x equals 11. So there's our final answer for that one. Checking out the next one, same idea. I'll draw a line down the middle of the equal sign. Let's do the inverse where we have our variable here. The inverse of plus 8. Let's do minus 8 on each side. So then we have 50 equals 4x. So then we'll divide by 4. Remember, we do it on both sides to keep the equation balanced. We get 12.5 equals x. Remember, x is on the right side here, so I'm going to have it on the right side when I write this. It won't make a difference really, but we want to keep things on the correct sides of the equation here too. All right, next one. Opposite of this. So this one's a little tricky. This 12, there's no plus or minus sign to the left of it. So this is actually a positive 12. So we'll do minus 12. That would be the inverse. So if we subtract 12 on each side, we're going to be left with, look at that, negative 8y. Because that minus sign is in front of the 8 still. So then we get negative 8y equals 24. Then we'll divide by that negative 8. And we'll get y equals 3. Negative 3. It's okay to use a calculator on these two in case you're wondering. You need to be able to show your work. All right, next one. Let's do the opposite. Opposite of minus 2, so we'll do plus 2. Remember, as you're doing these, it's a good idea to like pause these and check your work throughout just to make sure that you're doing things properly. So we get 4x equals 30. And a couple different ways we can do this here at the end. So we divide by 4. We obviously don't get a whole number here. So we could do this two ways. 30 over 4, we can simplify that. We can to 15 over 2 if we divide it by 2 over 2. So 15 over 2 would be an acceptable answer. If you want to use your calculator, though, I'll pop this one up on screen. If I want to do 30 divided by 4, if I want to write 7.5 as my final answer, that's okay as well. Your choice. All right, remember, those are equivalent, 15 over 2 or 7.5. Either way is okay. All right, next one. So nothing's being added or subtracted here. Just divide by 7. And we're going to get m equals 8. All right, and then we got one more on this page. Let's look at opposites. So we'll do -1. So then I'll have 9h equals 36. Divide by 9 on both sides. Then we got h equals 4. All right, hope that helped for solving two-step equations. This is crucial for the next part where we have to write our equations and then solve. So let's go ahead and check out these two. This one actually, on your study guide, there was a typo here. This should say $22, so let's go ahead and fix that all together here, right? All right, this reads, Samantha went bowling with her friends. She paid $3 to rent shoes and then $4.75 for each game of bowling. If she spent a total of $22, then how many games did Samantha bowl? Now, on your instructions, it says to define a variable. I'm going to use x, but you can use whatever letter you would like to. So what are we trying to find? It says, how many games did Samantha bowl? So x equals number of games bowled. That's what we're trying to find. All right, so when I'm looking at my information here, $3 to rent shoes and $4.75 for each game. That means that $4.75 times the number of games. And then when you rent shoes, think about it. When you go bowling, you pay the rental fee once when you're there. And you have the shoes for the whole time you're there. And her total is $22. All right, so now we solve this. So this is our equation part. This is probably the toughest part, is just writing this equation, right? So now we need to do inverse operations. So we've practiced this. We've done this a lot already. Now this is something we can do really well. Now it's 475x. Now don't be confused with the decimal, okay? We still do the same steps. So even though that's 4.75 there, we still divide by that. You don't just pick part of it, you divide by the coefficient there, the whole thing. All right, so when we divide, use your calculator, 19 divided by 4.75. So she's got 4 games played. So we're going to put x equals 4. And then since this is a real world situation, we want to write a sentence there. So we're going to say Samantha bowled 4 games. Or played 4 games of bowling. However you'd like to word it, just make sure that you're referring back to the situation. All right, let's check out one more together on this study guide, and hopefully we'll be good to go after that. A field trip took 471 students to the museum. If there were 9 buses full of students and 12 other students rode in cars, how many students were on each bus? All right, so what are we trying to find? Our variable, it says how many students were on each bus. So our variable is the number of students on each bus. So if a bus has 10 students, 2 buses total would be 20 students. 3 buses would be 30, but it's not 10, or we don't know what it is yet. So let's try to figure this out. It says there's 9 buses full of students. So 9 buses of students and 12 others rode in cars, but it's not 12 cars. Look at that carefully. It's 12 students rode in cars. So we don't know what each individual situation is. We just know that 12 of them, to get there safely, they rode in cars. And the total is 471 students. All right, let's go ahead and work this out then. We'll do our inverse operations, right? Subtract 12 on both sides. If you need to use a calculator, I always suggest that you do. There's no reason not to, right? 471 minus 12. I'm sure you can do that in your mind, but why not? 459. And then we have 9x left on this side of the equation. And then we're going to divide. I should have left my calculator open there, right? Divide by 9. Divide by 9. We get x equals 459 divided by 9, 51. Remember, the answer is not just 51. Look at the situation, and that's why we define our variable. Number of students on each bus. Look back at the question, how many students were on each bus? So we're going to say there were 51 students on each bus. All right, I hope that helped. Remember, go back, rewind, pause, do what you need to do to study well for this, all right? Good luck, and yeah, do well, math friends.